Good morning and welcome to the Capital Forum's interview series. My name is Ben Newmeyer and today we are very pleased to have Christie Thompson here with us. Christie is a partner at Drye here in Washington, D.C., and she is chair of the firm's Advertising and Marketing Practice and Consumer Product Safety Practice Groups. Welcome, Christie.
Thanks, Ben. Great to be here.
So, Christie, to start our conversation, let's turn to the new agency, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. There's been a whole slew of interesting activity coming out of the CFPB this year. Most notably, the agency announced that it was bringing an action against ITT Educational Services. This is the CFPB's first suit against a for-profit education institution. So, Christie, why did the CFPB sue ITT?
Yeah, the CFPB's allegations are really twofold against ITT. The first element relates to what you would traditionally think of as a financial service. The allegation is that ITT had a loan system that it was promoting for which it got a certain revenues for students who signed up for the loan, and that the way the ITT tuition structure works, there's a base amount that can be covered for tuition that can be covered by federal loans, and then kind of a gap between the total tuition amount and what would actually be covered by federal loans. And ITT offered its own loan to cover that amount, or a loan for which it was getting some sort of a benefit. And the CFPB alleges that that ITT kind of pushed students into that private loan structure, or gave certain incentives to get them into that private loan structure that had not as favorable rates. The second element of the CFPB's allegations relates to pure advertising, and that really goes to the success rates that students could have once they graduated from ITT. And that was really kind of more in the space of, like I said, just advertising and the representations that were made to the students about their likelihood for success and their job opportunities once they graduated.
So is there anything that strikes you as new or noteworthy about this suit?
I think for CFPB, everything is new and noteworthy at this point as such a nascent organization. But the lending element to it is consistent with what we've seen from the AG's offices in recent years, particularly the New York AG's office, where they have gone after for-profit institutions and had questions about some of the loan offers they have made, or even public institutions that have partnered with traditional credit card companies and had some sort of payment structure where the educational institution was getting some payment in connection with the credit card. So that's kind of in line with what we've been seeing. On the advertising element to it, to me, it's very consistent with what the FTC has done for a number of years on the business opportunity front, where the FTC has gone after companies who advertise during late night television or otherwise and say, hey, we can help you get a career, order this kit from us, and then you can earn X dollars, from your home or through other systems that the business opportunity company has. And those can be legitimate programs, but the FTC has a structure in place for how those should be advertised and what representations can be made so that consumers really understand what they're getting into.
So what kind of claims about the opportunities was ITT making?
They were making claims about just the job opportunities once a consumer or once a student would graduate. And I don't remember the specifics of exactly what the prospects might be, and they didn't really seem on their face outlandish, but I think in today's job market, that's probably another reason that the CFPB was aggressive in going after them. And CFPB has announced that representations and lending by educational institutions would be one of their priorities. And so in this current job market and in this economy, it's a pretty easy target for the CFPB to at least investigate and at least take a closer look.
Yeah. So from looking at the complaint, is the CFPB holding educational institutions to the same standards that the FTC would in such an action about advertising claims?
To a certain extent, yes. So the CFPB's authority is to go after unfair, deceptive, and abusive acts and practices. The FTC has the authority to go after unfair and deceptive acts and practices to the extent that each entity has jurisdiction over the entity making the representation. But where the CFPB has some additional authority, or at least potential additional authority, is that abusive prong. And that abusive prong really hasn't been fleshed out in this context at all. The FTC has a long line of cases that articulate, and policy statements that articulate, what is an unfair or a deceptive act or practice. And the CFPB has so far, at least on its face, said that it is going to kind of follow those notions. The concepts that the FTC has established. Where the CFPB has potential additional jurisdiction is to go after the abusive acts and practices. And time will tell how the CFPB actually embraces that authority. From what I can see, they are embracing it wholeheartedly and using it to its fullest extent, and will continue to do that until there's some sort of challenge to the limits of that authority. Right now it seems like a catch-all that the CFPB is eager to use and has applied it in numerous contexts. So generally, yes, the legal standards should be the same and could be the same, but we'll see if CFPB takes those standards even further in their actions in this situation.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like we could actually see the CFPB's abusive authority being used for statements about financial or business opportunities. Is that correct? That's
certainly possible. They've as I said, they've shown no limits on what they think their abusive authority is, or their authority to go after alleged abusive acts and practices. So they could apply that in ways that we may not be thinking about right now. But I would say that they plan to apply it aggressively, and the companies should watch out for that.
There will certainly be a lot to watch for. So we now have three regulators of educational institutions on the beat: CFPB, FTC, and of course the Education Department. Mm-hmm. How can educational institutions and stakeholders know just where the fault lines are?
I think for now, you have to assume that everybody's watching and that anyone could knock on your door at any moment or file a document request for you at any moment. Historically, the Department of Education has focused more on the government-based loans as opposed to the private loans. And the FTC certainly continues to be on the beat. The FTC and the CFPB do have a memorandum of understanding as far as how they will go after entities generally, and have there's a process in place where they will coordinate with each other before both go after a particular entity, and that's written into the statute. It remains to be seen how that will actually play out, because from what I can see, the FTC is continuing to go about its business in enforcing regulations that it still has the authority to enforce regarding financial practices, and is certainly continuing to pursue those acts and practices that it thinks are unfair or deceptive.
So do you think we'll ever see a limit to the CFPB's authority in this space?
I know many clients hope so. I think for now, until some of those assertions get challenged, the CFPB is testing its own limits and seeing how far it can go. And we've got clients that are feeling the pinch of that. And I think until there is a real challenge to it, the CFPB will continue to, like I said, see how far it can push those limits.
So turning our attention to the FTC, this year we've also seen a renewed focus on health claims within that agency, mm-hmm. with the Bureau of Consumer Protection announcing several claims against supplement manufacturers. Mm-hmm. Is there anything new or noteworthy about these actions?
The FTC has long gone after the dietary supplement claims, and I think that where we have seen a bit of a resurgence is on, and it's really not new if you count the last few years, but certainly on those claims that get closer to the disease claims. We've seen the FTC take more action in recent years regarding those kinds of claims, but you've still got the claims against the traditional weight loss, the allegations against the more traditional weight loss products, where the FTC has been very aggressive in this space. We have seen a resurgence from the Commission in terms of holding other parties responsible, or at least encouraging third parties like those that are publishing the ads or that are otherwise involved in the process, and making allegations that those companies had an obligation to be to know about the claims that were being made, and to do more than just kind of a smell test if they were in some way disseminating the claims or aiding the dissemination of those claims. We've also seen it may be an uptick, it's hard to say, but certainly aggressive attempts to include individuals in the complaints or settlements that the FTC has pursued. Probably, I'd say across the board, but certainly in the area of some of the dietary supplement claims.
Well, we've certainly got a lot to watch for this year. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much for being part of our video series, and I hope we can do it again soon.
Great, thank you.